Okay, so I want to connect two things. One is the class we're going to do tonight, but I want to connect it to the holiday we're coming from. Because I feel on the one hand, while it's great to launch a class, it's also great to realize where we're at. In order to know where we want to go, we have to realize where we're at. And where we're coming from is we're coming from a series of holidays. We're coming from Rosh Hashanah, the 40 days of preparation before that, moving into Yom Kippur, the Day of Judgment, Atonement, moving into Sukkot, the day of living in tabernacles or huts, and then moving finally into Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah, the days of joy. Yet we consider them all a grouping of holidays, really a grouping of a time period that starts Rosh Chodesh Elul, which is the last month of last year, and goes all the way really to the end of Tishrei, which we're holding at now. And the question is, what's the connection? We have a lot of different holidays here. How can you say they're all one thing? First of all, you have the 30 days of Elul, which is just sort of what they are. And then you have Rosh Hashanah, which is this 2-day holiday, and we consider it the crowning of God. Then we have 10 more days, or 7 days to be exact, of preparation, Yom Kippur. And then after Yom Kippur, we jump into this entirely different holiday. We got thrown out of the house, we're in the hut, we try to figure out what's going on. We got a lot of work to connect those. But in truth, the underlying theme of all of these holidays is the theme of unity. You have, obviously, the preparation, but Rosh Hashanah itself is 2 days that are written, they're considered as one day. They're considered like one. So immediately you have a unity, you have a unification of 2 days as one. They're considered one long day. Secondly, Rosh Hashanah is one of the only, if not the only, I believe it's the only holiday that has one command. There's only one thing you have to do on Rosh Hashanah, and that's hear a shofar. The only thing you're supposed to do on Rosh Hashanah is hear a shofar. Everything else, you have extra stuff, but the command of Rosh Hashanah is shofar. So again, you have a unification process. You have one thing you have to do. It's the shofar. Yom Kippur. Where do we have a unity in Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur is the idea of teshuvah, repentance. Teshuvah, by nature, repentance by nature, is a unification process. When you have a split, when you have a fight, and you come back, you're coming back to a unity. You're actually coming back stronger than when you were before. When a rope breaks and you tie it, the place where you tied it is stronger than it was originally. So you have a unification process going on there. And in the day itself of Yom Kippur, we have a very strong oneness or solidity, which is that the one person, the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, would go into the one place, which was the Holy of Holies, on one time in the year, which was Yom Kippur. So you have a very solid unity there too. You have one, and one, which there's 3 things that define everything we know to be. And that is a place, a time, and a person. Those 3 things are what we define as actions. In other words, it takes a certain person to do something at a certain time. A certain person being somewhere at a certain time. So you have a certain unity here existing on Yom Kippur as well. And if you want to say, going back to the idea of teshuvah, how great was this unity? It says that the temple was shoulder to shoulder, and yet when they would bow, they were supposed to bow down to the floor, somehow they all had a room. So you could say the walls extended and there was room for everybody. But this is again the idea of unity. When there's unity, there's space. Fine, so far we're doing good. Then you have Sukkot. Sukkot, we have 2 opposite concepts. One of them is a sukkah, the hut, and the other one is the lulav and the etrog, the items we use. And while they're different in idea or in looks, they're very similar in concept. The sukkah, anyone inside a sukkah is equal. In other words, everyone is outside. When it rains, you all get wet. When it's cold, you're all cold. When it's nice, you're all nice. But the truth is that there's a certain unity to the point that Tractate Sukkah says it's fitting for all of Israel to sit in one sukkah. In truth, all of Israel could fit in one sukkah. We could all fit there. That's the way it should be. And in truth, one day it will be that way. There'll be a sukkah that'll fit all of Israel. So that is the idea of unity on Sukkot. But now what is the lulav and etrog? Lulav and etrog is differences. The lulav symbolizes the taste, which symbolizes someone who's very scholarly. because it comes from a date palm tree and it tastes good. You have the adassim, which are the myrtles. They smell wonderful, which symbolizes good deeds, someone who does a lot of good deeds. You have the willow, which is neither. And then you have the etro, which is both, which symbolizes different types of people. What we do is we take different types of people, we bind them together, because true unity isn't of one and the same. It's of differences. When we unite our differences. And where do we unite them? Is in the sukkah. And this symbolizes two forms of unity. One is a general unification process. Hey, we're all in this together. And two is the specifics. Since we're all in this together, we got to look at how we're different and how we're going to work those differences out. How we're going to work together with our differences as opposed to hating each other for it. This famous idea we have to love every single Jew. And some people say that means even the ones we know really well. Because the ones we don't know, it's very easy. It's the ones we do know that becomes challenging. The same thing's true here. We can say we all sit in the sukkah, we're all getting along. But it's the ones we get down to the nitty-gritties and say, but who really are we? Yeah, we all get along in general, but don't ask too many questions. And that's what the Lulav and Etrog is. We're very, very different people. And we got to put it together, we got to bring it in the sukkah. So we have unity here too. But the ultimate form of unity is expressed at the end of the holiday. When you move into Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah, it's considered the ending of the days of judgment. It's considered the ending of that time process. And it's considered the highest point that we can attain in atonement. And why? Because joy brings out deeper levels. True unity is when you're able to put your arms over the next person's arms, be shoulder to shoulder with them, and dance with them, to be happy with them, to be happy for them and let them be happy for you, to celebrate their success and allow them to celebrate your success. And where do you have that is on the dancing at Simchat Torah. So the ultimate point, the highlight, the pinnacle of all these holidays ends with the dancing of the Torah. And how do we dance? We dance with the closed Torah. We don't dance with the Torah open. Yes, I know your synagogue opens at the show, but in essence the way we celebrate is with the closed Torah. And that's because we're celebrating everyone as they are. We're not celebrating, oh, you know more and I know less and you did more and I did less. We're celebrating you the way you are. And celebration brings out the deepest level of unity. But then you walk off the mat and all of a sudden the holidays end and you're at today. And what is the job? In other words, as long as you enter the holidays, it's very simple. The month before you prepare. On Rosh Hashanah, you think about your higher power. You think about kingship. You think about rulership. You think about the idea of being subservient to a higher power. You move into Yom Kippur. You prepare yourself now to connect that higher power, to give over to that higher power. You think about these things. And then you move into Yom Kippur and you connect to this higher power. Then you move from there a step further. You move into applying that into your day-to-day affairs. So where do you go after this? Where do you go when the map ends? And for this, there's a concept that when Simchat Torah ends, when the holiday of Simchat Torah ends, you make Havdalah, right? You make a blessing over grape juice. And at the end of it, there's those who say, and they'll also say at the end of this week, the Yaakov halach ledarko, and Jacob went on his way. So a verse from the Bible. And it says that Jacob was involved in things, and then he went on his way. And the idea is that we have to take this unity that we've experienced, this spiritual high, because unity is a spiritual high. When you feel connected, interrelated, when you're at a meeting, you have a great time, and you connect, it's great. You feel a very strong spiritual high. How do you take that with you? And that's the Yaakov halach ledarko. You have to take this on your way. You have to take it halach ledarko. And Jacob went on his way. And we're going on our way. We're entering a year long of many things. And we have to be able to take what we had with us. So this is an introduction because today I'm going to start the first chapter of Tanya. But the idea here is that when we gain something, how can we apply that to who we are? How can we take that with us as opposed to leave it behind? There's a lot of people that do get inspired somewhere, and they leave the inspiration and continue on their way, and that's not necessarily the right way to do it. It's very important that when you come from such a spiritual high, you take it with you, and that allows that next year you can have a greater spiritual high. It allows for growth. While we slide back, it only allows for reattainment, so to speak.